I acknowledge that I have read and accept these terms and conditions of this agreement. Does that sound familiar? I have read and hereby do accept and understand the terms and conditions of this agreement. On a daily basis, that comes across our computer screen. Most times at inopportune times, right? In our society nowadays, we tend to look at that memo, that note, and click yes, I agree. Yes, I agree, without even so much of a second thought. There are people that enter into contracts for 2-year phone service or 30-year mortgages without any reprehension or any thought. Well, what I want to propose to you today is that we can't be so cavalier in our accepting God's will for our life or his will for the work that we would have him do through us. In the book of Joshua, we get to that 24th chapter, and it appears that the children of Israel are on that verge where they too are going to be presented with that, do you accept these terms? Do you understand these terms? Do you accept these terms, and do you agree to these terms? And it is here that we must understand that just as then, so today we must make a valid decision, an intentional decision, and we must, whatever our decision is for God, we must make sure that we make it knowing that we're going to carry through and follow through on it. We're going to have considerations for making good choices. But what we'll do is I'm going to review Joshua's call to acknowledgement for the people. Reading from Joshua chapter 13, Joshua chapter 24, starting at verse 14 through 28, reads like this. Now therefore, fear the Lord and serve him in sincerity and truth, and put away the gods which your fathers served beyond the river and in Egypt, and serve the Lord. If it is disagreeable in your sight to serve the Lord, choose for yourselves today whom you will serve, whether the gods which your fathers served, which were beyond the river, or the gods of the Amorites in whose land you are living. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. The people answered and said, far be it from us that we should forsake the Lord to serve other gods. For the Lord our God is he who brought us and our fathers up out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage, and who did these great things in our sight, and preserved us through all the way in which we went, and among all the peoples through whose midst we passed. The Lord drove out from before us all the peoples, even the Amorites who lived in the land. We also will serve the Lord. Then Joshua said to the people, you will not be able to serve the Lord, for he is a holy God, for he is a jealous God. He will not forgive your transgressions or your sins. If you forsake the Lord and serve foreign gods, then he will turn and do harm and consume you after he has done good to you. The people said to Joshua, no, but we will serve the Lord. Joshua said to the people, you are witnesses against yourself that you have chosen for yourselves the Lord to serve him. And they said, we are witnesses. Now therefore put away the foreign gods which are in your midst, and incline your hearts to the Lord, the God of Israel. The people said to Joshua, we will serve the Lord our God and we will obey his voice. Joshua is calling the people to remember God, and to serve God. And in this call, we see that the people are quick to say, we agree. Now, Joshua didn't fall for that. Joshua had been with these people. He had seen what they had done after leaving Egypt. He had seen what they had done with their time with Moses. When Moses brought the commands to them the first time, they quickly agreed, and then they quickly fell apart. Joshua wasn't having this. Rather than come back with, are you sure? Are you sure? Please confirm. Joshua language gets a little tough. And what he says to them, he says, you can't do this. This is too hard for you. This is going to be too hard for you. If your past is any indication of what I'm asking you today, you will not be able to do it. And the people say, no, we can do it. We can do it. Their first agreement was in such a way where they were able to go back and recap their history from Egypt to Shechem and say, yeah, we know what God did for us, and we can do it. His retort of, no, you can't, was met with, yes, we can. Joshua said, you know what, I'm not going to argue with y'all. You say you can do it. What I'm going to do is we're going to just continue with what we're doing here, which is renewing the covenant. If you say you can do it, just know that what you're telling me you could do today, you're going to have to prove that you can do it. And it's going to take more than action. So there are three things I want to say about the call of God. One, we have to remember that the call of God goes beyond our acknowledging. We have to remember, just as the Israelites were called upon to go back and remember all that God had done from the time that he had taken Abram from Ur of the Chaldees and brought him into Canaan, he just did the same thing with them. That example that he did in Shechem, that was done in Shechem, still holds true today. Many of us are being called to serve God in various capacities, and we say, I agree. You know, send me. Here am I, send me. And we waver. And sometimes we fall apart. Sometimes we fall short. But we have to remember that once we say we agree that we're accountable, not just to God, but we're accountable to ourselves and the people around us. The second thing that I want to, the second point is we have to recognize the call of God and choose to serve a faithful God. We have to remember that this call is continuous. It's not a one-time call. It's not, I'm calling you on Monday and you get to say I agree. But God's going to remind you throughout the week, throughout the day, throughout the hour even, if need be, that there's a call on your life. And you're responsible for answering that call. And once you say you agree, you have to continuously agree. So much so that putting your feet on the floor in the morning after you wake up, when your eyes open, that's an agreement. Such a call is that on us that as leaders, that we have to make sure that we model what God has placed on us. Not just in verb. It's easy to say we agree or click that I acknowledge and not know that what's going on behind the scenes, not know all the full details. In the Israelites' case, Joshua read it to them. And then the final point is renew confidence and faithfulness to obey God. Joshua challenged the people to faithfully obey and serve God at Shechem. Christians today must faithfully serve and obey God. The Israelites in Shechem said, we will serve and obey God. what will you do? Will you serve him? Will you obey him? Will you honor his word?